Line everybody up and welcome back to another edition of the USFL podcast. I'm the ref representing Pro Football Newsroom. It's a good week. It's a great week. It might be the biggest week ever. I'm joined as always by my man Zach Kyleman from the Gridiron Gallery. How you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I think this might have been the biggest week of the USFL very much so far. I am doing, I could say, ecstatic. Today as we are talking, it has been a blast all day, just talking about different parts of the league all week, getting new stuff that just is kind of haymakers of like things you have to process, like boom, boom, pow, and you have to sit back for a second, get your collective mind palace all sorted out. And then you just kind of ring it down. This is what we're doing with the show this time, because both of us are kind of like trying to wrangle down those thoughts on all this stuff. The last 3 days alone are what really have been hitting hard. I mean, and it's still coming.
Remember in our first episode, right at the beginning of the year, which again feels like years ago at this point, but again, this is only episode 7. But in the first episode, we said we expected to see a rapid fire of announcements from the USFL to kick off the year. Now, in January, I thought that was the rapid fire pace. This week, boy, oh boy, are they delivering hard. I mean, for anybody that was worried, right? Anybody that was worried that the league was being too quiet, well, they've woken up the beast. The marketing machine is going full on. And I mean, we were talking about this in the pre-show. Last week in the episode, I predicted that this would be maybe XFL's big week, right? The day that this episode drops, that's the 1 year from when the XFL kicks off. Instead, the complete opposite. I mean, we have so much to talk about. We have new partnerships. We got jerseys. People have been begging for jerseys. My God. And with that, new merchandise. We have championship game, playoff game, information, location, and all sorts of stuff. I mean, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to rank those team uniforms as well, boys. So here's what I want everyone to do. Stick around and let us know down in the comments your rankings. I mean, before or after. And definitely let us know if you agree or not. Now, here's what's going to be fun, Zach. I think you and I are going to disagree on some, but we need to come to a consensus. This is the ranking to end all rankings. The USFL podcast uniform ranking definitive edition. I'm getting flipping hype. I'm getting signed up.
I'm curious how we're going to agree on the debates of certain teams. Because I'll tell you, it was all over the place. It's any jersey reveal, you have people all over the spot. You know, there are a few that stand out, but I think we can get one down where we can agree at the end of the day, and I'll stay with a definitive until maybe I see him on the field to play or something. I don't know.
Right.
It's different in photo shoots. I'm stoked. We're going to get the definitive piece to it. Honestly, we could have had a whole show devoted just to really what we'll talk about with the championship relocation, as well as, of course, Sportsradar's partnership and a few other tidbits. But the jerseys, I mean, that's a whole nother beast you got to add in there. And we got to hit that up. We got some tidbits we got to get out of the way, as always, though, first, before we get into that.
Absolutely. Social media. I mean, we're kind of on social media with YouTube. So if the subscribe button is red, make sure you click it. And you know what? It builds morale to click the bell. Click the bell. It builds morale. Get signed up. Click both of the buttons. That will keep you up to date. Hey, here's the real deal. Here's the skinny. When we're going to Springstock, we get it. Not all of you can make it to Birmingham. We're going live. We're live streaming it. I got a 5G hotspot. That's 5Gs. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5Gs at my disposal. And I'll tell you, it just arrived today. I tested it out. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So the best way to find out when we go live, click on that flipping bell. And again, you're going to get a little morale with it. Now, here's another thing. If you hit the bell, if you hit the subscribe button, once we get to 500 subs, you know the drill. we're giving away some goodies. We got 2 tickets to that opening USFL game against the Birmingham Stallions, New Jersey Generals. And we're also giving you your choice of t-shirt or hat from the USFL shop, which just...
The new USFL shop, too, which we didn't even reference and hint at. But yes, they did that with the jerseys, too.
It got a little bit sweeter. And you know what? I'm feeling, especially because those jerseys are coming out. They're pre-order, so they come out mid-May. I'm thinking maybe that's a Thundo. Once we get to a Thundo, somebody might get a jersey. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's get to 500 first. I think it's less than 80. So come on, guys. You can do it. And, of course, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those good things at USFL Podcast. I'll say we're pretty active on Twitter, but my boy Zach, he's going to be heading up that Insta account. So if that's your thing, get signed up. It's about to wake up like the USFL socials. And we kind of touched on it, but spring stock is coming up April 16th. The party's in the parking lot.
Yeah, baby.
The party's in the parking lot. And we're working on some really good potential partnerships that are going to make this pretty flippin' professional, pretty flippin' fun. But here's what we know so far. Free food, free drinks, BYOB, so non-alcoholic only, but free food, free drinks. I always say if it's free, it's me. So I think you should get signed up on that alone. But just like Woodstock, right? So we always talk about spring stock. It's because everybody is coming to one place because of spring football. Well, just like Woodstock, they had a bunch of bands. We're going to have a bunch of podcasts, right? So we got here, of course, the USFL podcast. This is the USFL podcast. Jim Meunier, I feel so sophisticated saying that, from Controlling the Chaos and Inside the Walls with our co-host here, Zach Kyleman.
That's right.
And there's going to be some more to be announced. We're going to have some special guests. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to have some giveaways. So show up if you can. If not, we're going to be live streaming it. Starts at 12 p.m. Central Time. So 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. Live on YouTube. Live from Protective Stadium. Like I said, Zach, the party's in the parking lot. If you want to party, come to that parking lot.
It's going to be so good. I can't wait till we can get there opening. We get just more, all the stuff this week has been getting me even more jazzed.
Getting amped.
And I mean, heck, we're already talking about going to the championship. So, I mean, I'll save that other stuff for later once we get those things down, but yeah, I mean, we'll be there.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait to meet everybody. That's the biggest thing. I'm excited about the game. Sure. I can't wait to meet the USFL community. They are among the best. Sign them up. We're looking forward to meeting you. Hopefully you're looking forward to meeting us. Even if you hate us, come get a free hot dog or burger. I don't care. Sign you up.
Yeah.
I'm
looking forward to talking to people. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And they got a lot of stuff to look forward to with it. It's right around the corner. They hyped it more and more so with the jerseys. Every single one of the videos that we'll talk about are a little bit. April 16th. They keep slamming that home. Mm-hmm. And might be doing some schedule releases here soon. They're saying. They keep saying maybe.
Little birdies are saying.
They might.
So anyway.
Let's talk about stuff that's concrete now.
Let's get to the news. So again, we started things out. This was the USFL's big week. Probably their biggest yet. At least the biggest since the major media event that they held at Protective Stadium earlier this month, mind you, where they revealed all sorts of details about the simulcast, the first game. You know it, that Birmingham's going to be the central hub, all that good stuff. But this week has definitely rivaled it. And to kick things off, we learned about a new partnership. So this is one we saw with the XFL as well. Sportradar is coming on as their official sports data and integrity partner. So again, they had the same type of partnership with the XFL in 2020. And quite honestly, they're the leaders in what they do. They're a leader in global sports technology. They create immersive experience for fans and bettors. Now, I mean, what does that really mean? Well, when you see those stats on the screen, when you're watching a game, they're coming from these guys. The stats that are going through the bets, they're coming through these guys. Making sure that you don't have a Pete Rose situation, these guys are handling it. And I mean, I love Pete Rose. I mean, put that dude in the Hall of Fame, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But these dudes are going to make sure there's no Pete Rose in the USFL. And quite honestly, these are the types of things. When we look at legitimacy, right? Any of these new leagues, whether it's the AAF, the XFL, I mean, what was the one that never came out? The Freedom Football League.
Yeah. Yes.
One thing matters.
MLFB is coming up, apparently. They're sending some stuff out, funny enough.
They're saying it.
I know.
Saying it.
That me throwing that grain of salt out there, and people go, well, wait a minute. They've done this for... Anyway, whole different sidetrack. You can look that up yourselves on another time.
Well, I mean, there is something to it. They are moving along, to an alleged 2022 season, which, man, if they can pull it off, maybe we will have a fall stock. I don't know. I mean, I have to go. I have to go if it happens. That's all I know. Anyway, I'll tell you this. Major League Football isn't going to have a sport radar. Well, I don't think they will have a sport radar. I don't guarantee it.
It would signify something. Like Sport Radar is kind of the quintessential, stats and kind of sports data sort of, I would say, engine, if you will. I had to do a little bit of background digging because I'm like, look, I'm not, those that know me, I'm not as much into the betting scene. I'll give you that credit. I'm going to try and do that more because, the league itself, other leagues like the USFL itself are digging into that, putting their claws in it because gambling's growing in the U.S., whether you like it or not. It's becoming a bigger moneymaker. Fox knows that very well. Mm-hmm. They've been pushing this for the last 2 years really hard on every one of their sports properties. You ever watch NFL games? You see Fox 6 or the Fox Bets.
Oh, right.
They're pushing it every game. They want you to gamble a little bit. So this is what they're going to do with the USFL as well. What better company to do it than Sport Radar, who already does this for many betting sources, many sports leagues, MLB, NBA, NHL. They are associated with several NFL teams already on certain partnerships and several other businesses even outside of sports too. They do a lot of stuff that's like entertainment and betting, gambling, and collection of data as well, just all over the place. Mm-hmm. A lot of clients. It's a massive property, and they're also global. Like you go to the site, there's 5 different regions you have to pick from because they are everywhere around the world. They have their hands in everything. They've been around for years, and it's a reputable company. People know what Sport Radar does in the industry.
Well, for sure. And again, like we started this topic off, it creates that legitimacy, right? Where people are going to bet on these games. These are new teams. If you have real data behind it, run by the leaders that run this already, and the integrity piece, this is exactly what you want as any new type of company, especially in this field.
Damn right.
Especially now, as you mentioned, where sports gambling it's inevitable where it's going to be countrywide, or at least, I don't know if it's at a majority yet, but it's getting dang close, right?
I believe, I was going to say, because I believe our good friend Edward Hartman over there, his statistic he pulls from one of his official quotes is, and I'll read the second part of the whole thing, I guess, while we're at it. His quotes on the partnership with USFL and Sport Radar, quote, "The USFL is thrilled to have forged its first data and integrity partnership with Sport Radar," end quote. Second quote, "With more than 60% of American adults living in states with sports wagering now legal, it was critical to the new USFL that we partner with the market leader in integrity solutions, and Sport Radar is the gold standard to which all sports information businesses are measured." TLDR, they know their stuff. Gambling's growing. We want to partner with the best guys around that provide data for these gambling resources, as well as, maybe some other things that we can engage fans with better. Sport Radar, that's their specialty. Just all things engagement to get you to do more than just watch the game.
Right. And this is just the beginning of the big week, right? And so this news alone, we could talk about probably for another 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, because to me, and I get speculation zone.
Oh boy.
To me, this shows a couple things. Well, one, there's definitely going to be sports betting involved, which I think we just kind of assumed, but it seems like that kind of confirms it. Now, the other one's a little bit more speculation zony, but I feel like at least these are the type of infrastructures you need to start having fantasy in place. So I don't think we're going to get a full like fantasy football right away. I honestly, I think you almost need to wait 2 or 3 years to where people know some of these players. Especially that first year, there's going to be some guys, again, looking at the XFL, people didn't know the PJ Walkers and the Galloways and those types of guys going into it. It was really until like week 2, 3 where, this is the guy, right?
Yeah, that is what it is in theory. If you want to play the long game, you could probably see him doing something along this line. I mean, they work with DraftKings is one of their partners. You go to their website, it's listed right at the bottom, along like other ones like FanDuel as well, CBS Sports. So Yahoo Sports alone, which, I listed 3 companies right there that already do fantasy apps and application processes. So the thought is, with Fox being involved, they're probably going to want to do something like this, whether it's a daily fantasy, whether it's, season fantasy. Either one's fine. Now, daily will get you more money in the long run. That's what the DraftKings and FanDuels of the world want. They want that data for that.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, you won't be able to fully get that until you have potentially rosters that can somewhat be not turned over, but retained.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We won't, and we won't know who the PJ Walkers of the world or like the Cam Phillipses, the Ta'amus, we won't know those guys until maybe like week 5, I would say at best, around that mid-season range, maybe even earlier. Depends on how well this bursts out of the gate. But that's the deal. Like first year, that's what you get. Your hope is, and as Daryl Moose Johnson again has stated endlessly on as many platforms, you got to get through year 1 and get to year 2. If you can get to year 2, we can start talking about the fantasy. We can start talking about this extra stuff, the roster retention, possibly higher salaries because of the fact that stars need to be kept if you want some sort of semblance. That is what, Sportradar is going to be in that picture. You thinking bigger right now, it just helps with the betting angle. So we'll get it. Fox has too many claws in that angle of the industry to where they wouldn't utilize it. They're going to do it.
I think we'll at least see something like Super 6 at minimum, right? I think we'll see something like that. We'll probably see some daily betting something, right? But yeah, going into season 2, having this infrastructure in place, like you stated with Daryl Johnston state every time, getting to that season 2, they're knocking it out of the park prior to season 1. It may have taken them a while to get there, but now, they have taught everybody so much about the league in a short amount of time. And this is, we were talking about this maybe a couple episodes ago. In the modern day and age, people have a shorter attention span, right?
Yeah.
And so if they would have revealed these jerseys, sure, if they would have revealed them in December, you may have got some of that extra Christmas money. But realistically, nobody was going to get those jerseys until after Christmas, so they would have gotten knocked on that. But by now, people wouldn't be talking about it. We're drumming up buzz. They're drumming up buzz for the league going right into the draft. And again, in a week where a lot of people expected that this was going to be XFL's big week to make announcements.
That was being hinted. They're talking to the anniversary and everything coming up with the 18th and hey, things can happen. We're recording the day before. We might be all having fun after that on, different parts of newsroom itself. And we could all be having a big joyous time hearing about that. But man, would that be hard after other stuff that has gone on, beyond the Sportradar announcement. That would be hard. And I'll tell you one thing with this, you're talking about the relation to the XFL here. I'm assuming with like the USFL, we're going to see I'm wondering how many gambling elements from the XFL come over. So like, do I see the over-unders and the spreads on, the displays again, which I liked in there. Again, I'm not as big a betting guy. I'm getting better with it. That's something that like for this year I've dedicated to like get better on terminology. But I expect like that, I think should be a gold standard. Like if Fox probably saw that in 2020 went, that's pretty cool.
They helped.
Let's utilize that again.
That's the thing. They helped develop that. And so knowing that, I think, yes, I think we do. Especially again, going back to the partnership with Sportradar. I think so. I think we do. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think we will. I absolutely think we will.
It's a plausibility. Again, you can argue speculation, but like there's a lot of connecting dots on that. And like I said, Fox took notes. They knew what they got from the XFL and the TSL. This is why this is even an adventure right now, because they saw things that were plausible, and now they went, let's do it our way.
Right.
and this is where we're at, So of course they're partnering up with someone that they liked from last time, that at least the XFL they thought did well at last time and is in the industry. Take them with you. And plus, I mean, Sportradar will be gladly taking another client that will pay their payroll. So why
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when, I mean, this just shows that Fox saw that spring football could work with both the XFL and the spring league. And like you mentioned, bringing on the partners that worked with both, they got a good few years of experience, learning experience, without really having to spend the capital on it. And now they know, and they're ready to spend the capital. It's going to be interesting to see how the two, again, they don't go head to head, but as we've seen from the player contracts, there's going to be a lot of guys that just aren't going to be able to play for the XFL next year. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Right. Well, even our, funny enough, we had a reversal. Our Bruno Regan, he signed.
Sign him up.
I was like, hey, glad to see it. And you know what? It was his total decision on that, which is, of course, last episode, we're like, hey, you're picking your way. We get that. But I thought that was cool. He's like, I signed my contract, and honestly, he's got the talent. He's going to be drafted, I think.
Oh, he's definitely going to be drafted.
I know that there's no certainty, but like, come on, dude was at a dominant spot. All SEC. He's going to get on a team.
And I mean, what coach doesn't want to have a good laugh? I mean, the dude knows how to tell a good joke or two. He knows how to drop
PR
a
for
good
the league
meme.
at this point.
I mean, seriously, he gives the league good publicity. I can't even talk over here. He probably gives them better publicity than I do. I mean, whatever. I'm joking, of course. But truth be told, I'm just excited that we can go down there, meet him, and get that picture framed, signed, and that photo opportunity. I'm telling you.
Dude.
I'm hyped.
Hey, that's the possibility now.
It's going
That's
down.
back on. It's back on. It's got to happen. We got to get hooked up with him.
Dude, I'm telling you.
It's going to go.
Birmingham is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it for so many different reasons beyond the game.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I can't believe I'm thinking all these different events I'm already going this year with football games. Because, of course, Birmingham, here's the deal. I'm going with you with spring stock and going to the opening week. I'm going with my dad the next week. 2 weeks in a row, I'm going for the league. And now I'm like, Canton, Ohio? Excuse me?
Right.
I'm going to the championship and playoffs. I am right down the damn road in retrospect.
Right.
Somewhat. That is driving distance, my friend. And that was the other part of this week, too. Like second of three.
Yeah.
We're already talking championship. Although, you want to talk about how this came to be? Because that was part of it. I think a lot of people knew and were accepting of this. I was actually kind of surprised. I was waiting for some people to more to give blowback on it. But people, I think, went, this is kind of cool because for those that, if you're watching this and aren't aware, Canton, Ohio is pretty damn historic in terms of football in general. Ohio is really the state where the NFL was originated from. So, at least its beginnings grew out of. So, you kind of get the Hall of Fame right in the backdrop, where they play the Hall of Fame game every year at Hall of Fame Village, and Tom Wilson Stadium there. It's it's kind of cool. The World Games are the reason why, but the venue makes up for so much of what could have been bad pub for moving it.
Well, and here's the thing, actually, because I think it even gets misconstrued that it was moved. They've known about this. Both parties have known about this. And so, again, according to Roy S. Johnson, I'm sorry. I don't know where I got Scott from.
Yeah, Alabama.com.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, by the way.
So he put in there that was almost one of the sticking points that stopped the deal from going on. So realistically, they've known about this for a long time. This isn't like a shock. It wasn't like the Birmingham City Council woke up and saw the news and said, What happened, right? No, this has been around. Now, again, the USFL is doing things not only right, but cool, right?
Yes.
Again, utilizing in a situation, well, we have to have a central hub. Well, they're doing it somewhere. I think that's smart. You're going to have, I think, a lot of rabid fans, and the temperature is good. And then you're stuck in a not so great situation. Well, you're starting off the season historically with a simulcast. Why not end it off historically as well at Tom Benson Hall of Fame stadium.
I said Wilson, it's Benson. But yes, absolutely. I mean, the site's great. Again, all the NFL legends, and even there is a little bit of USFL memorabilia in there. I'll admit, although I understand there's some people that are going, football Hall of Fame. It's not the NFL Hall of Fame. Nonetheless, the backdrop of it is cool. The USFL in its original iteration, and even now with this new one, it's technically part of the history of the game.
Right.
So you're honoring that with a new adventure into this sport with going there. And also for the Village, they're probably ecstatic because we get more business all of a sudden. Yeah. And this is all the positives, of course, for Canton. We know with Alabama and Birmingham in particular, folks are going to be a little slighted. But again, the World Games, there was a 4-day gap to get ready.
Right.
And the World Games they're not exactly at the level of the Olympics, but they bring a lot of economic impact in. Mm-hmm. This was a big deal. And the fact that the USFL even got things organized with also the city of Birmingham saying, we got this to do too in the summer, you realize, right?
Right.
We still have to pull that off and get everything to where it looks professional. That's nice. Like they're going to fulfill their arrangement too. So I feel that, no bad blood. Everything was understood, and they're still going to be able to hype up the city, much as the league has been saying, even when they had the protective stadium announcement, that the world still will have its eyes on Birmingham, Alabama for that long stretch of the season, for that 10 weeks that they get.
Yeah, 10 weeks. Plus, again, we're forgetting about, but there's also training camps. There's still a lot of money being pumped into that city prior to, right? For instance, I don't know. I don't want to say I would never travel to Birmingham, Alabama, but I don't know if I would ever have a reason to, but I am. We're spending money. We're going to be spending money on food. We're going to be spending money on drinks, and we're going to be spending money on hotels and beyond all of the money that the league itself is going to be bringing. I think it works out for all parties. And now in Canton's situation, like you mentioned, what would they be doing with that stadium in July anyway? Absolutely nothing. So you might as well get some extra business. And quite honestly, and this is something I thought they might get dinged on, but I really love the idea. There's an absolute chance, like there's no way that it can't be a neutral location. Nobody's going to have a home team advantage here. The Pittsburgh team, I think, is a little close.
That's not far at all.
Yeah.
From Cleveland, it's 2.5, 3 hours. I've done the drive once. That's reasonable. And Canton's even more, it's even closer to more central-ish Ohio. It's north central, like northeast,
it's a weird
northeast Ohio.
spot of Ohio. I had to look it up.
It's not far.
Yeah.
It's not far. Like it's a pretty direct. The Panthers fans out there, which that fan base is rabid. Yeah. It is driving so much traffic for the league. That's not far from Detroit. The Detroit metro area is maybe, again, I live 4 to 5 hours from Indianapolis.
I think it's like 4.5.
It's about the similar distance when you're right on Lake Erie there. They're going to come over too. Now that they have that, and maybe you even, and this is just me, if the Stallions make it, you have a fan base that's growing in Birmingham. My thing is you might have some of the Rabbit fans that come up from, Birmingham, Alabama, depending on how the season goes.
I'll tell you this. You're definitely going to have fans flying in from out of state, no matter who the team is. And I'll tell you this, and for this reason only, when I went to the Spring League Mega Bowl, I ran into a fan that flew in from St. Louis just to see the game. Didn't know anybody there, wasn't family or friends or anything like that. So if somebody's going to fly out to the Spring League Mega Bowl, yes. And especially for the experience, because, if you're flying out to the USFL, I'd say there's a pretty dang high chance that you're a fan of football. And you can wrap in that Hall of Fame. I've been to the Hall of Fame, but it wasn't since I was probably like 13. I can't wait to go back to the Football Hall of Fame. Beyond all the new things that are in there, I can't remember a majority of the things that I saw, right? And I know there's a lot of people that maybe in Birmingham that maybe never had a reason to go to a Canton, Ohio. Now they can kind of wrap in a little football vacation into this event, which I'll tell you, Zach, you saw it. I, no joke, rented a football-themed house on Airbnb for what we're calling summer stock. It was only natural. Thanks to the Discord. I'm a jerk that I didn't. It's the guy that likes the breakers. I can't remember your username. We'll remember it for the next show. But anyway, come out to summer stock as well, because I'll tell you this. Yes, we are not even to spring stock yet, but summer stock, day before the game. So the game's the 3rd. The championship game's the 3rd. The 2nd, we got to do a group tour of the Hall of Fame, right? A USFL podcast tour, a summer stock tour. So again, we'll keep you posted, but then summer stock, we're so far out from where summer stock is, but you and I, we're already talking about maybe potential partners for that event. So we're making these events fun. We're making them big. The party's in the parking lot. Sorry, I had to divert. So we talked about the championship games on the 3rd, but we didn't. I skipped the playoffs. But so it's both the playoffs and the championship. Playoffs are the 25th, so we get both games. Then we ride right into the 3rd, which I don't know about you, Zach. I don't know if there's anything more American, maybe other than baseball and hot dogs on 4th of July weekend than football and hot dogs.
That's what they've been hyping up with the championship, is that it does end on 4th of July weekend. You're going to have people out and about and doing stuff on the weekend anyway. Why not go to a football game? Why not go to one that's, got at least the level that it's trying to be in the USFL? That's what's nice. I like I said, the venue it fits perfectly for the sport. It is very much if you are making the trip for the love of the game type of thing. And I'm just meaning you just love football in general. That's what they're trying to hype up. That's too cool. And of course, I'm not surprised you picked up a place that fast for us to do that. Because like I told you, I was already as soon as they dropped that announcement officially, I'm like, yeah, whenever they do tickets, I'm booking my tickets to both weekends. I will find my way out there. So it's bound to happen. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is great. And seriously, we are going to plan this. I know we do still have spring stock. We are making plans for that. And that is the prime priority at the moment, of course, because of dates.
Right.
But we are doing both. Trust, it is going to happen. We will do 2 of these tailgates, or at least 2 of these live events out there. It's going to be a blast.
It's not just an event. It's a tailgate extravaganza.
It's experience. It's an experience. It's what it is.
So real quick, because there's one thing that we brushed over here real quick, but one thing I do want to talk about with the location. Can I say perfect size? I think they can get 20,000 people into this, at least for the championship game. And then if you do a 2-for-1 on the playoffs, if they're both games are on the 25th, 1 ticket, both games, I think the USFL could pack the house, at least for the championship here.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about, I want to see how they do this with the tickets, because they're talking the regular season's still going to be affordable tickets is what they're saying for pretty much any of the games, like the $10 general admission that they're doing. The championship, I could, maybe they do it. Again, it's still TV based. They still want to have the TV side of it. So sure, they could say screw it, and maybe they make a deal with, with the Hall of Fame Village and, Tom Benson stadium officials and get that all sorted out. But hey, maybe it goes the other way. I don't know. Maybe the exposure works out. Best case scenario, maybe they put up the prices a bit more because of the championship. And that's best case for the league, by the way. Best case for the fan is they stick the course. They say it's still about the TV, which if I was to say what Fox does is that they'll say TV numbers matter the most out of this. Filling up the seats will just make it look good for TV.
Right.
So we'll just do it that way. And what would be really great, and I don't know if they'll do this either. This is me completely in a speculation zone type of scenario. What if you do a second simulcast of the championship game? Make it the second big game that NBC and Fox come together, shake their hands, and say, let's make this the best damn championship that we could possibly have at the end of the season. That's the thing. And then add in the fact that you hope that one of those northern teams between Pittsburgh and Michigan get to the championship to draw that crowd from their city. You have a shot.
I think so.
Filling that stadium.
I think so. And I honestly, I had that thought about the simulcast. I don't know if it'll happen. I think it could happen. I think that the fact that we're seeing them do it at the beginning of the year, maybe they cap it off at the end of the year. And more importantly, we're again talking about a holiday weekend. So one thing generally happens on holiday weekends and holiday weeks, there's not a lot of new content. It's not a big news cycle. Nobody wants to put out press releases, really. People are on vacation. They're traveling. So, again, looking back at like the XFL, not that this would happen because it's on a Sunday, but, with that where it rolled into Saturday Night Live, that's not going to happen with this game. So, I mean, I think both, or at least NBC in this case, would be more than happy to get that extra viewership and share that ad revenue with Fox rather than run a replay of who knows what or figure skating or because I'll tell you this, the one thing that people will tune in for on the 4th, but it's on the 3rd, but people will tune in on the 4th is that hot dog eating contest. So they're avoiding that competition altogether, the hot dog eating competition. I feel like you weren't paying attention to me. I was expecting a laugh there. And maybe I'm just not as funny as I think.
No. I see what you're doing. I get what you said with the hot dog eating competition. I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
What I was wanting to clarify because this is me thinking off the cuff, and now I just got this. So my thing with thinking about possibly having this capability of you like simulcasted the grandiose plan, the speculative plan here, NASCAR is shared by both of these companies. They air them between. Foxo goes from at least this weekend here until the 26th. Meanwhile, NBC, they get them from past the 26th onward for the rest of the year. My point was, where are the broadcasts? NBC's on USA Today or USA Network for their race of Road America on July 3rd. So it wouldn't impact NBC. That means
that's interesting.
What is there? See, you have to think about the other contracts here. That's why I'm checking this. Because I know NASCAR, it's not as big as it used to be, but still, it does bring in dollars for NBC. NBC needs sports content. The USFL kind of is helping fill what they could be needing right now. So that adds more to the fire. What's playing on that date right now? It's definitely not NASCAR. And unless there's other stuff that would preempt it, football to me, could be a good play for your Sunday schedule.
I'm liking this. That's some good recon right there.
Fox Baseball would be the only other thing that handles it, but I think the MLB, they would work it out or something. That's the other thing I'd have to look up. Although the MLB,
that's a whole thing. That's its own thing right now.
Whole different story at that point. So
this is why Ben Verlander is rooting so hard for the Panthers. Right. He's got nothing else going for him in the fall.
These are things you got to think about when you make this, because again, all these different sports properties, now you're in a whole nother ball game when you're doing April through July like that. So the speculation, that's where I'm putting it. Could happen. You open the dates up right. There it is at that. But it would top off what could be a fantastic weekend of possibilities. And hey, we haven't even talked you would think there's going to be stuff to do that's not even just the Hall of Fame, but like USFL related things in the Village. Like there's a lot of possibilities for cross promotion between these two groups to make this even bigger than just Hall of Fame campus.
Speculation zone.
Sure.
What if we see an expanded USFL display? I mean,
if you wanted to, tell you one thing. If you wanted to get the OG USFL fans on your side even more so than just bringing their teams back, there are some of those historian types that we have talked to, interacted with online, that have made a point that the Hall of Fame, as much as it does honor football, it does have somewhat of a USFL presence. It's not really that big, and it doesn't really honor as much of the alternative leagues as great as it should. Hey, that would be a great PR move if you said, you see some other guys that didn't get like Hall of Fame status, like say a Reggie, like they're not like the Reggie Wrights of the world, or like, the Steve Youngs, the Jim Kellys, the Sam Mills who got in this year, and people were clamoring, hey, why are we not talking about him when he was on the Stars?
Right.
That type of stuff. The big players from there, that would be cool. If they can do it, great. Not sure if they would be able to, but hey, maybe with a relationship, if, for example, somehow this is a neutral site game they continue to do, maybe that happens.
For sure.
But again, it's only year one.
Only year one.
Only year one, so that's it.
But I think you're right in your speculation. I think we'll see something extra from the league. I mean, it would only make sense, or even just from the Hall of Fame Village, to where people are going to be there. I mean, case in point, we're flying there. If you look at our Discord, which, by the way, link down below, there's a lot of guys that are like, yes, thank goodness. They're happy that the playoffs aren't in Birmingham because they can actually make it. It is within driving distance. Because the Panthers fans, they come out large. We have a lot of Panthers fans in our Discord that, now we're talking a 4 or 5 hour drive, and even from the UP, you add a couple hours, but it's not 10, right? Or more.
Just having Metro Detroit area, which is where they're petitioning and getting initial talks for stadium discussion anyway. That alone, and that's where you're going to be your main market probably. That alone will help.
Right.
So, yeah, even if it's not the Panthers, the hope is that those two markets of Pittsburgh and Detroit sandwiching in between Canton, you can get fans that are they're like, oh my God, it's close.
Right.
I got to check it out. That type of thing.
And it is, again, holiday weekend. If it is affordable, that's something to do. And an important thing too is not on the holiday itself. So now you don't have this debate of, do I grill with the neighbor Bob on the 4th or watch the race, right? Because there's a Coca-Cola 600, Indy 500. Now it's kind of a free day. It's a free day. You're going into a long weekend. And again, if you keep those tickets, I'll even say this, under $25. Under 20 would be better. 10 would be prime. Mm-hmm. But if you still give them the free children under 15, regardless of that, even if it's 25, boom, you got a winner right there, I think. So we'll see.
Yep. Still all about the TV. Hopefully that allows the tickets to be continuing to be affordable just for those two contests. We'll get more as we get closer. That's all I can tell you. I think that this was overall, even with what could have been a downer, somehow the league came out with a win here.
Right.
And I think that's pretty damn cool
and,
at the end of the day.
And we're only halfway through the week, right?
Yeah.
This is just story number 2, Zach. Story number 2. I knew this episode was going to be packed. Now, a little insight for everybody, because I like to talk about what we talk about behind the scenes. I feel like our viewers are our family in a way, right? There's no secrets. There's no curtain. I talked about that with Bruno Reagan. I don't normally do the interviews because I'm not a good interviewer. And that's the case. Boy, I can't even say interviewer. You, on the other hand, a very good interviewer, which, by the way, we'll have a link right here to his interview with Ron Frederick of the Birmingham Stallions. But so before the show, we were talking about it. And honestly, I forgot exactly what I was going to bring up. I know you know what I'm talking about, but I rambled on such a tirade.
Oh, Jesus.
About what the heck I was, what do you remember what I said that I don't know either.
You were talking about interviews.
I think it is it. Oh boy. I don't know. Anyway.
I had a great like I said, that conversation with Ron was great.
Yeah. We'll just talk about that. That wasn't it, but see this again, I'm not even going to clip that out. No curtains on the USFL podcast. Well, you don't get to hear what I was thinking in my head 2 seconds ago. That's the early onset Alzheimer's must be kicking in.
Decoded. I'll tell you what we can do. We can do here. Well, first off, I'll say, like, as we're talking, Ron, he was a great interview. He listens to the show, and if you're probably listening right now, shout out to you again, man. You were awesome to talk to. Love talking to someone that was from the original league, hearing his stories. That was a great time. I love player interviews because you always get something different. Everybody has a different path. It makes it so much fun to talk to players. I cannot stress that enough. And then secondly, I would love to do this with the comments. We're going to be doing the jersey rank thoughts with them. Honestly, folks, if you're listening in, what do you think about Canton? I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on Canton, Ohio. It's been mostly positive, but there are people from Alabama, of course, that have had their own takes on this, and people that have seen Canton and went, oh, dang, or some that have been middle ground. So please, comments like that too. I'd love to hear those.
So
if you're watching the YouTube version.
I remembered what it was. It only took me too long.
Okay, let's see.
So
let's see what we got.
In the pre-show, we were discussing if we split off the rankings in their own thing with the jerseys. Because again, we're just halfway through the week right now. Next up is the jerseys. And I said, no, Zach, we're going big. We're going big.
Yeah,
this is the jam-packed episode 7. and we're going to have fun. And look, now you stuck around, and it was well worth the wait. So here's the real deal. We found out Wednesday that the jerseys were going to be revealed Thursday. At the time, there was no timeline on when we might see them. But what was it? 8 p.m. Eastern or 8 a.m. Eastern? Boom. Schedule comes out. Here they come, 1 hour at a time.
The USFL, I think, thrives on shock value. That is their in some of their announcement schedule, at least. It is completely like, let's just throw people for a curveball, which plays into, of course, them playing everything close to the vest. You don't see much slip out, but it comes off that much more surprising when they drop stuff like the day before.
And more exciting. More exciting. You know? I love it.
So yeah, like the night before, we get they basically go, by the way, we heard you. Jerseys be dropping on Thursday, and then everyone's like, okay. And then of course in the morning, I'm just getting ready for work. I have like some other stuff to do, real quick as I'm like on my computer getting things sorted out for my day, and all of a sudden I'm on Facebook because you jump on for a second, you got to check your notifications, and bam. There's a graphic right there. Oh my God, they're doing it by the hour. From 8 a.m. till 3, they had all that stuff lined up. Every team was going to get their own hour of promotion. Not bad.
It was pretty sweet. And the cool thing was too, or the interesting thing, maybe not so cool if you're really itching to buy some merchandise last night. But once they announced that the reveal was coming, that online shop went down. So I mean, that pretty much made it official. Okay, we're at least getting new merch, but are we getting new jerseys? And boy, we did. We sure did.
Give a shout out Jake Henry here, like Mr. Shop Snoop of himself. Like
he's all over that
great
stuff.
At fighting this. He is so great at finding this stuff. I'm like, how do you do this, man? You comb everything, and I love that you find like these small nuggets.
And that's why we're glad to have him on the newsroom crew. He's our boy. And I hope that if he can't make it down to Birmingham for spring stock, I know it's not close, but it's closer at least to St. Louis. So hopefully you can make it out to summer stock. Because I want to meet him. I mean, the dude's, like you said, he's a super sleuth. We've been working with him for years, and that's what makes it fun, meeting the community, meeting the people we've been working with. Whatever, we're getting distracted, but jerseys.
So yeah, well, the thing is that to tie in, he was slipping that in. So like then us going, okay. So and then even some of the wording with they started dropping teaser images per team. A few of them had wording because remember, as we've learned, wording is key with anything this league does.
Right.
And one of the teams said gear coming tomorrow, and you can imply that it was the team gear, like just the players. But hey, if the shop's down, if they're saying gear in the teasers, odds are stuff is coming tomorrow.
Right.
And we did get that, but like it was kind of pointing a bunch of arrows at the same thing especially after Jake found the website down. Right.
So, and boy, oh boy, they refreshed it all. We finally have what seems to be good new merchandise. Not that even the old merchandise was bad, but this is definitely a step up. We have hats. That's for all of the teams.
Everybody wanted the damn hats. Yeah. That is the most like asked item besides maybe polos is people going, where are these hats? Too.
Speaking of which, I know the everyone's watching. So, hey, USFL, sign us up. Send us a care package. That's all I got to say.
If you can.
No, not if you can. Sign us up. Just do it. It'll feel good. It'll build morale. It'll be just like clicking the bell, which here's the deal. Even if you work for the USFL, you should click the bell. It's going to build a little morale there. Sign you up and send a care package.
That'd be
nice.
That's
my Jedi mind trick.
Got to compare your drop ship stuff to the stuff that you're getting.
I'm telling you, dude, we have thousands of views, tens of thousands of views on our YouTube channel with, again, 6 episodes. We'll sell a couple t-shirts for you. We'll sell you. Sign them up. But anyway, I would love to do an unboxing and just kind of compare the quality because I have the hat, you have the shirt, and we can at least do an apples to apples comparison. So anyway, enough of that. I'm joking, but if you do want to sign you up, whatever. So we have new merch, and as the jerseys came, like as they dropped, they were adding the jerseys over on the USFL shop. So they're about $75. They're replicas, so they look screen printed. A lot of people are asking. It doesn't specify. If I were to guess, you're not going to get a stitched jersey for $75.
Right.
It's probably screen printed. The other thing to note too is these are pre-orders, so they don't ship until around mid-May. So you're not going to have them for that first week. We can hope, and I think they might have them for sale at the event. But you can definitely, if you order them now, have them ready for... Oh, we lost Zach. Well, this is going to be fun. I get to rank the jerseys all by myself now. This is actually exactly what I wanted. Oh, he's calling me now.
I was pulling up Shop USFL so that I could, just kind of get it up,
right,
get it as a reference point type of deal. So, yes, to continue the conversation last I talked to you, now that I am back in pre-ordered jerseys, they're supposed to be shipping the 15th of May. You got also that they are indeed looking like they are screen printed, at least based on the renders that they are giving. And some of them, they're not like completely like they're replicas, but they're not like replicas you would think that might be worn by players. Like the Gamblers one, for example, I know does not have the secondary H logo on the side. That's not there, or like the Maulers jersey doesn't have, like the main one doesn't have the drop the hammer thing as well. So, they're close. No cigar.
Yeah. But
fully.
You know what? Jerseys nonetheless. We got to wait a little bit longer. Hopefully we'll see more again in Birmingham. Maybe we'll see authentic ones as well. Hopefully we'll see. We can hope. I mean, that I got lucky and got one from the XFL before they were gone. And so if they have them here, I need one. The
shop's going to only grow. I mean, they released for most teams like 8 items a piece, and 2 of them are jersey variants for youth and like regular. You got about like 3 to 4 shirts, and that's even different between like youth and women's sizes and men's.
Right.
And then of course a standard hat or 2, different color shades. Now that I digress, they have stuff in the jerseys though. It's funny. This is what we're talking about now. Here's the big shebang. The jerseys themselves. So let's do the order, shall we?
Yeah, let me. I'm going to switch over cameras here. So, are you going to go in the order that they were revealed?
Yes,
good. Because that's how I have them laid out.
No, that was the plan. We'll do from the 8 a.m. original all the way down to the 3 o'clock with. So basically, first one of the day that we had was words are in my mouth. First one of the day was Birmingham Stallions. You have to have. They had to, of course, start out with the team that was, of course, going to be hosting this whole thing. End of the day with the Philadelphia Stars is that order, and then everyone else is in between. So
right. So I'll actually flip through them real quick because I have them kind of lined up. So I have a chart that's going to show. We're going to rank them. I'm going to have the jerseys on the right. We have the ranking numbers on the left. So here we have the Birmingham Stallions. Right. So they were first up, 8 a.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Maulers,
9 a.m.
Tampa Bay Bandits at 10. We have the Houston Gamblers, my favorite team. I won't say my favorite jersey yet.
Okay.
Generals coming up next, followed by the Panthers, which, I mean, everybody was just waiting to see that one. They hit over 20,000 on Twitter now, by the way, the Panthers.
That social media was blazing a trail today.
Right.
So many people signed up after that jersey reveal. It was nuts.
Now, the next one, and I don't want to give too much away, but I think this one is clean. The Breakers. The Breakers.
Yeah.
And then followed, as you said in the Discord earlier, stars of the show. Ended up with the stars of the show. Philadelphia Stars. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn these back on. You can't see what I'm doing, Zach, but you don't need to. I'm going to shrink these all down so they fit in our spots. Now, I'm just going to go in order of how they dropped, and we can move these around, right? And so I say we start off, we have the Birmingham Stallions. I'll let you start. Where do you think they fit in the pack here?
Where do they fit in the pack? I had a little bit of a inner dialogue with myself as I was, because I actually watched all these while I was at work to try and kind of gauge. I have them in my upper half, my top 4 instead of the bottom 4. I have like a different, and here's the thing. I categorize the jerseys into two sections. Either essentially modernization retoolings of the originals, or they went a little bit drastic or different. Most of them are modernizations. A few of them I went, okay, they took a few liberties in changing it. This one was one of the better ones that said what is old is new again. They kept the same palette. The jerseys have the stripes on the sleeves like they did back in the day. The main difference, of course, is the new logo. They changed the horses out from the previous. So, they kept a lot of stuff close to what it was back then. I wouldn't say it's the best of those types. So I'm putting it like, if I'm thinking back to my inner dialogue, how I had it, it would probably be at number 4.
Perfect.
Right,
honestly, that's where I was thinking. It would sit right. And again, these could move. Because, and I'll tell you, I did these rankings before. You think you go into it, and then at the end of it, when you're looking at them, you're like, well, maybe not. So I agree. Number 4, I like the nostalgia factor. It feels right, especially because you're playing that season in Birmingham. But when we look at some of the others that we'll get to, especially from the modern aspect and the retro aspect, I think there's a couple others that did it better. So yes. At least for now, we're sitting at the middle of the pack. I know some people are going to hate us for doing that, but we got to start somewhere. There's
no winners in this. Like exactly. Everyone has an opinion, so something's going to go wrong.
Oh, because we agree so far too.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Okay, so here's the next one. This one I think was one of the two most divisive jerseys of the day. Because as I was saying with my categories, this is where the league took a little liberty in the design, because the Maulers jerseys were definitely plain Jane in 1984. These definitely are not at all trying to replicate that. It is a completely different ball game with this. A lot of orange.
I like them though. I like them, and
how much do you like them?
So, I like them more than the Stallions jersey.
Oh, now we're definitely in agreement. I have that at 8.
You have this at 8.
Here's 8? Why. Hear me out.
Oh my God, this is going to be hard.
I love the away jerseys of this, and I know a lot of people were comparing these to the Apollos right out of the gate because, funny enough, the guy who designed some part of the AAF jersey lineup did the Apollos jersey. So it's funny how this works in. My thing is the home jersey, the orange is too loud in this setup.
Maybe that's why I like it. I'm loud.
I mean, okay. Like, yeah, fine. But it just comes off a little unorthodox. I compared it to the Green Bay Packers, like 1930s retros where you have
I don't like those.
You have the yellow top with the dark lower. That's exactly what this is. You have a very bright top with a dark underneath. It works perfectly to me with the away jerseys. Those look clean.
So I'll say this though, there's no confusing who the Maulers are on the field.
No, you'll know.
Right? Generals and Bandits, maybe some confusion depending on your eyesight. Stars, and maybe in the mix there too if you can't see the pants. Maulers though, I mean, I like the loud colors. Now, okay, I know I'm not going to get you to budge far, but I couldn't even get you to a 6, could I?
Well, no, because I don't know. Like,
let's put them at 7. Let's put them at 7. Right. We'll cut the difference and we'll see where we're at. Because I have a number 8. I have an 8. Okay. Well, and
I'll leave.
I hope 7. It's not your number 1, but we'll see.
I'll leave the 7. I'll do that.
All right. So we have
next up.
We have the Bandits, Bandit Ball.
Yes, Bandit Ball, baby.
So
it definitely brought back Bandit Ball. That's another one of those that was a modern retool.
So I like it. It's clean. To me, this is very similar to the Stallions approach, though. It's clean yet safe. They're not going too far out of the park. I think I like the modern touches. I really like the modern logo as well. So maybe that takes into account. But I mean, let me just look at this list here. So I can't see myself putting it in the top 3. Let me start there. Let me ask you.
It is just below the top 4 for me.
Okay, so a 5.
Yeah, it is 5.
We
on
agree
my
there.
list.
We agree there. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's clean. I like some of these. It's funny. Some of the theme with these jerseys people were bringing up is, well, some of them seem kind of simple. I'm like, yeah, but like this is a case where less is more works well. The red stands out. There's a lot of red in this league, we know already, but their red's fine. I like the drop shadow on the numbers a little bit. It kind of brings back it makes me think like San Francisco meets Tampa Bay, like the Buccaneers, though, not Bandits, because the drop shadow numbers are such a 90s San Fran thing that they did. So it feels like it pops like that. But the silver helmets and the pants, they go really well. The stripes on the side of the pants match very well and blend in with the jersey well, and both away and homes, they look clean. They look like they are professional, at least. They're just not like blowing me away. Like they're like, this is a good retool, just not my favorite retool. So it goes into 5.
And so, okay, we've only had one difficult one so far, and I can concede that because I know the Maulers are a divisive one. I knew I would get some grief going into that. But now this one I feel like is going to get tough here. So we have my team, the Houston Gamblers.
Yes.
I'm not even going to say anything. Break my heart. Where are you going to put this? Where do you think it fits?
I had it at 7.
You are out of your mind. These are crisp, clean, bad boy machines. I'm telling you.
Where do you have it then? You have it high?
Well, I didn't have it at number 1. I'll say that. I didn't have it at number 1. I would put it at number 2, though. And I think people would agree with me. Let us know down in the comments below.
Okay.
So, we're not getting it 2. So you had it at 7. I cannot put it at 5 or at 6. So that means, man. So
how about
I'll concede the Stallions, but then the Bandits move to 6 and the Gamblers move to 5.
All right, we'll do it that way for now.
Yeah, we'll run through this list. This might move around.
This is definitely getting more interesting because I thought, I know that you are the Gambler fan in this duo of us. I didn't know if you'd have that. There was that was a divisive one too. Some people were ripping hard on the side panels, the gray side panels.
I like them.
The two different pants.
Again, I like that.
They're missing the stripes. There's no stripes on the helmet.
Well, that I didn't like. But I do. I like everything else. Yes, I will. You know what? You're right. Well, maybe that's why I had them at like 2, 3. Because the stripes on the helmet.
Okay.
But, I mean, I am going to gladly rock a Gambler's jersey. Maybe a full uniform if I can get it.
We'll tell you what. Let's see what this next one is then. I'm curious. Like, I guess the Gamblers go on the back burner and then we can debate. The Maulers, to me, maybe that one's up for debate too. I won't be that much stingy. It's just that, like I said, the Maulers, is more of like, it's very loud with the home. This one, it's just like some of the stuff doesn't match up for me, which is what, or it disappoints where it's like you had a palette from the 80s you could have pulled from and you didn't pull that and you kind of chose certain elements I didn't understand. That's why I have it like 7. It's close, but it doesn't hit all the stuff right. And the template was there, is what I'm saying. It was there. They still can correct it. Like stripes on the helmet isn't that hard to correct.
No.
They still could do that if they wanted.
No.
So,
and here's to season 2 if they don't do it season 1. I mean, there's always ever evolving.
I raise a drink to that. Here's to season 2 corrections. Okay, next one here though. I got this one top 3.
Oh my God! What? How can we be so different? I have this dead last.
Okay. So the Generals were at noon. Where do you have the Generals?
I have Generals dead last, number 8.
Seriously?
I mean,
whoa.
Okay. If I look, the Maulers, too cool for school. I mean, those colors sign me up.
Okay.
The Bandits. Okay. If I'm going to compare these to any of the other ones, it's going to be the Bandits and the Stallions. Do I see them going higher than the Bandits? No. Mm-hmm. Do I see them going higher than the Stallions? No.
Okay.
That's my insight.
So this one I could move because it is one of the less is more category, like the Bandits. So I could kind of see that. I just like how they did the accents with the blue, and how they, I don't know, the star pad, for some reason, the circle of stars on the shoulder pads, I kind of a sucker for. I don't know why.
I do like that.
The blue accent what got me, because the original uniform, there was some blue in their marketing, but it was very, very little. This, they're subtly doing it as an outline, and they're keeping that going, and they have it on the collar for one of the iterations.
Right.
So there's why I have it at 3. That one could probably move for me a little.
You know what?
I can agree on that stance if we need to make it a mid-pack or something.
So here's what I think needs to happen, and I don't like this. But it's funny. I actually have another number 8 in mind now if this doesn't sit number 8. But okay. Sorry, Pittsburgh. I feel like that's a losing battle. You're going to number 8.
I mean, we can
move.
I guess we're just starting to hit a lot of stuff.
Well, we'll go through this list again before this is all over. So we have Pittsburgh 8, Generals 7, Bandits 6, Gamblers 5, Stallions 4 for now.
Okay.
Panthers. Bring it on me. What do you got?
Number 1. To me, it's number 1 out of the entire list.
So I'm so torn because I knew what my top 3, one of them's not in the top 3 anymore. That's the Gamblers. I will put them there now, but I'm going to make a heavy argument in a minute for a different one.
Sure.
But let's talk about these first. 1, perfect, knocked out of the park. Like your knocks on the Gamblers helmets, they didn't screw up the Panthers helmets. The jerseys are perfect. The champagne pants are perfectly champagne. I mean, this, I think, is exactly what everybody wanted in a Panthers uniform. And I don't think I've seen any of the Panthers fan, which there are many, complain about these.
They took every element from the iteration from 1983 to 84, and they basically made it look sleeker and more modern, not as outdated. The helmet alone, everyone that I have been talking to so far, and those that I've talked to about the league's past, they like the Panthers helmet where it's the Panther head rising from the helmet, like kind of like the Dragons logo with the XFL. That's exactly what it was imitating, or the Dragons are imitating the 83, 84 version. I digress. They kept that. They put it with the new modernized Panther, and then they kept the colors.
Yeah. Because
it was already working. And they even did the stripes on the sleeves. They did everything that was asked. It sticks at number 1 because it's every bit of the original uniform that worked well. They just made it to where it's a present day look. That's why I got it there.
It's clean.
The champagne, the plum, and the light blue, they pop out for some reason. It's such a pleasant combo. I don't understand why, but it works. Now,
I'll tell you this too. So we watched all the package videos, and they even put out a larger package video after all the uniforms were revealed. And in the Panthers one, there were a lot of eagle-eyed folks that realized that's not a panther in the background. That's a lion. Now, I don't think that was a mistake. I think that's not necessarily a knock to the Lions of Detroit, but we see you. Mm-hmm. We see you. And so
we know.
I could be wrong. I kind of hope it was an Easter egg, but I think it was an Easter egg. So for now, they're sitting at number 1. But you know what, buddy? I'm going to introduce you to my number 1 pick here. These flipping Breakers jerseys are damn too sweet. They are so beautiful and blue. Now, again, my favorite color is blue. So naturally, I'm a little bit attracted to that. Man, these jerseys are too cool for school. I can maybe move them to number 2 because I have the nostalgia for the Panthers. But, man, these are just slick and clean.
Funny you mentioned, they are my number 2.
Are they? Okay.
They fit into the category of at least a heavy retool. They took a little more liberty with it. The original Breakers, this was the one I was looking to see what they would do with, because the original Breakers helmet, it's a similar deal. It has the wave, except it is a different wave shape, and it kind of extends from the back of the helmet, wraps around to the front, and it kind of does this weird dip. Yeah. The new one is, it's like an actual wave, like a breaking, if you will. So they did it pretty much the way that it was with a wraparound, but the wave fits better on here. And then to add on it, to keep up with this, like the surge, they added the waves on the side. And for the home and away jerseys, it was even nicer. This is where they were designing it in mind. Again, I talk about like contrasting. You have like a dark contrast to light. Well, if you have two lights on top of each other, it's hard to look at. Mm-hmm. So the away jerseys, the wave is dark blue. In the home jerseys, which is dark blue or royal blue, really, it's really a royal blue.
Yeah,
they have the light blue tint on the wave. That looks crisp. And that, to me, it's number 2, mainly because they redesigned it well. I just put the Panthers a little more because they basically said, you know what? Don't even touch any of this. Let's just do everything that was already right with the first one and just slightly tweak it to modernize it a bit. Mm-hmm. This one they had to, I think, do more. But this is the best of the one where they said, we're going to take a little more liberty and kind of readjusting it. And it nailed it. It's 2. It's not too far down from number 1, but it's a solid 2. Like I have no other argument for that spot being anything else.
And yeah, I will probably pick one of these up for myself, even though again, I'm a Houston Gamblers fan and these are probably going to be our biggest rivals in the league, considering the proximity to New Orleans and Houston, but man, they're just too cool. Now here, I'm just going to say this. We have the Stars left. No way in heck these sit at number 3, right? We agree on that?
I had them at 6.
Okay. All right, good. So then that means Stallions at least come up. The Gamblers come up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the deal. Are they better than the Generals or worse than the Generals?
So I like the helmet is the main thing I like with the Stars. I'm going to say it right now. So the otherwise, here's my qualm with the uniform, and this is something that people kept bringing up. The original uniforms were gold. Mm-hmm. Unless this is because of the fact that the graphics and the videos just brighten it up to where it looks like it's almost mustard yellow. This looks like mustard yellow. It looks like ketchup and mustard. I've seen Ronald McDonald jokes throughout the day. That's what knocks it down. This isn't gold. They're leaning into like the yellow in the logo, not the gold from the past. It's a little harsh on the eyes. That's the thing. It's not as bad to me as the Mahler's orange, but again, to each their own flavor. I could see you shaking your head. I get that. But yes, it's lower on my tier because the mustard yellow, or at least what looks like mustard yellow, comes off a bit.
Well, I'm glad you said it because yes, I was going to compare this to a hot dog. This looks like somebody just splattered some ketchup and mustard all over the place and said, hey, a football jersey. Now, I'm joking, of course. It's really not that drastic. I've seen much, much worse in regular NFL, let alone spring football leagues. It makes me hurt inside to rank them above the Maulers, but I get it. I understand that I'm not going to win that battle. I could concede them being above the Generals, though. I think they're at least more interesting than the Generals. Again, if I look at the Generals, it's almost, the Generals and the Stallions are so close, other than the shoulders and slight modifications on the color, that I could put the Stars above it on originality alone. Mm-hmm. So let's look at this list. If we put them at 6, that would put Maulers 8, Generals 7, Stars 6, Bandits 5, Gamblers 4, Stallions 3, Breakers 2, and Panthers 1.
All right.
I can't see moving any of these others around unless I can get you to concede to put the Maulers above the Generals, which I don't see myself doing, or just getting the Gamblers above the Stallions.
Just repeat. Where do you have the Generals again?
So we have the Generals at 8. So we have the Maulers, Generals at 7. Generals at 7. Maulers at 8. Maulers at 8.
I don't know. I just can't. I know you have your opinion. I don't want to be that bad guy here and be the one that's fully knocking it down. But that's just, I don't know. Like I said, the home jersey, the sum with the orange, it's going to be hard for me to move on from that.
I think you're probably in the majority here as far as like us and the online community. So I'll concede. But Maulers fans, don't be mad at me. That's all I'm saying. I tried.
if anything, I conceded the Gamblers one to you getting it up there in the top 4. I'll be okay with that. Although I think that I'm a little lenient on it because there's easy fixes they could do to better suit this uniform. For example, one thing I instantly want, don't use 2 different pairs of pants. I say you run with the light gray pants for all the uniforms, or the silver. It looks better, especially with the black jerseys.
Yeah, you'll probably get a better contrast.
Dark on dark it's not that dark on dark doesn't work unless it's like all black or something. It's not all black. It's not New York Guardians. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
No, right.
Doing that. But those are easy fixes. I can be a little more lenient on that. The stripes on the helmet, same deal. Those are things that'll make the uniforms pop twice as better than they do right now.
Right. So, I mean, I'll say this. I'm happy with our list. I'm happy with our rankings, but I think we both want to know what everybody else thinks. Let us know down in the description. Absolutely. Do you like our rankings? Do you hate our rankings? And let us know your own rankings. Let us know, even if you just want to yell at us and say it should be Panthers 1 through 8, nobody else matters. Screw it. Sign us up. I want to hear it. This is fun. This is our first ranking. I mean, we still, and dude, we're not even done. We're not even done. We're not even done. I thought I was like, no, I feel like, nope. There's actually a couple more. We still have news. We still have
smaller tidbits in the grand scheme, but stuff that impacts the season. So
I wouldn't call this small. I wouldn't call this small.
I guess in terms of what the public sees, is what I'm trying to say. In the season, in terms of people affecting the season, yes. These are impactful things that we got to talk about. Coaching decisions. That's what we're trying to say.
Well, I was actually going to go into the draft lottery.
Oh my God. I'm jumping the gun even further.
I'm with you though. This has been the all pack show. There's so much. What?
Yeah. I was going to say, you can forget about me even bringing up the.
Oh, we're going to talk about them too. We're talking about the coaching staffs. But before we do, you know what? I think that is kind of a good interlude in. So the coaching staffs, I think we do. You were right, Zach. I think your order is right. So before we go into the news, because I think this impacts the next subject anyway. So as you were going to say, I apologize for derailing everything. We have some new coaching staff hires. I think this does work.
Derailing. I find that funny. Anyway, so before all this madness happened in the last few days, we had a few tidbits drop online for those that are in coaching staffs, particularly in between the Generals and the Maulers. In terms of New Jersey, Mr. Mike Riley himself hired Jay Losey, tight end and running backs coach, who was with Riley, not only in Oregon State, but also played apparently with him in high school too. Connections. Both of these are actually connection hires as well. Different connections though. That's what's funny. Where you have Losey, who was with Mike Riley in his tenure with Oregon State. Losey was with him from 2006 to 2014. Meanwhile, you have Jeff McInerney. McInerney.
Yep.
At 100%. All right.
I would say 89%. Sure.
I think it's McInerney. Jeff McInerney, defensive line and special teams coach. His connection here goes back to the Commanders in the Alliance of American Football, another spot where Mike Riley really shined. Mm-hmm. So,
and the Guardians.
A few more pieces. And the Guardians. I mean, yeah, if we're talking all football.
Right.
Absolutely. You got that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see. We're seeing some of these guys. We've seen some of these guys bring in connections that they've had in the past, but high school, man, this guy, they must have a great working relationship or at least a knowledge of each other. If their history together goes all the way back to high school, they played together, coached together, and now they're having an opportunity to coach together again. And then, with McInerney, we're seeing that spring league experience really come into play here. So both he has that connection to Riley with the Commanders, but we kind of have that double dose. We have the AAF, we have the XFL, and now he's going to bring that over to the USFL, which is starting to seem like that premier spring league, at least for 2022. It absolutely is. 2023, we'll have to see what the XFL has in store, but they're not going head to head, so who knows? But at the time being, this is the big game, if you will, in the spring. So I love these picks. It kind of goes back to what we've seen with a lot of these coaching staff picks so far. A lot of them have a range of experience, right? Going from the coaching to those spring leagues, sometimes touching in the NFL, not in these cases here. But I think those things are important with the players that we're going to see in the USFL. And as we mentioned before, the USFL, or any spring league, at least for that matter, isn't just a stepping stone for players. It is for these coaches as well. And quite honestly, this will hopefully provide an avenue to make a bigger name for themselves and create a new path into maybe bigger, better things, or at minimum, stick around with the USFL, which at least seemingly looks like they're going to be around for at least 2 years, up to 3 minimum.
Sure.
Minimum, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 2 hires that Riley's familiar with is really the big thing to stick with here. Just from different avenues. So you're seeing guys that are bringing in people that are from certain portions of their tenures in the sport. For the Maulers case here, John Tomlinson. Now, a lot of this is based on, really, it's just based on the expertise. Tomlinson's been praised for this, for it being a hire here. Apparently, his work for quarterbacks and coaching and wise, he's done a lot of different experiences in that vein, just based on his resume.
They refer to him as the quarterback whisperer. I used to call Kevin Gilbride the quarterback whisperer because of Eli Manning, and little did I know that we have our own quarterback whisperer, and this at least comes from his time with Phillip Rivers, right? Again, the people that these guys have had a chance to work with alone is going to bring some great experience to these guys in the USFL. I'm sorry I cut you off a little bit, but quarterback whisperer. I mean, if I could be an anything whisperer, sign me up, but a quarterback whisperer would be pretty cool, right? Sign me up.
No, I don't. I have no problem with you doing that. I think what's sticking out here is the quarterback whisperer mantra. Who he's worked with in the past. That brings up a lot of opportunity for getting young guys antiquated into the game. And what is one of the measuring sticks you have with these leagues every time a new one starts? How good are the quarterbacks? How good is the QB play on your team, or at least in the league in general? We had this the freaking XFL was under the microscope in 2020. I cannot tell you how many times I remember, at least Pro Football Talk, I swear, every week, or would at least either on Twitter or within a write-up. I know within the first 2 weeks they had a write-up on just the QB play alone. This is mediocre,
right?
Completely. And it got better throughout the year, funny enough, but that's the deal. Public perception, you got to have some good QB play, and we expect somewhat not as polished at the beginning, no matter what league. We've come to get used to that, but it's the long run game. So, Tomlinson here is to do that for the Pittsburgh Maulers. Whoever they're drafting, that is the case.
Exactly. And so you were right to put him in this position, because that perfectly leads us right into our next thing. Capping off, not even really capping off the big week, because there's even a couple other things to talk about coming up that we won't discuss in full, but you'll hear us mention they're coming.
Sure.
But, okay, so Thursday night, we got the tease that the uniforms were revealed, or Wednesday night, we got the tease that uniforms were being revealed Thursday.
Correct.
I think there was about 2 uniforms left, and then the big news dropped. The USFL was televising their draft lottery on Speaking for Yourself. So, a couple things. Normally, Colin Cowherd and the Herd Gang, they're the go-tos. This time, they expanded their reach a little bit. They went to the program beyond them. How do you think Colin Cowherd felt today? Do you think he was hurt? Do you think he cared?
My ratings. I couldn't extend it into the show. I'm not getting that boost. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he does feel that way. Look, the USFL was going to have Fox integration from the start. That's why they were doing the Herd. And as much as what Colin Cowherd has even said on his own show during the season, I'm talking USFL football. I'm going to take a stab that Fox also wants their other shows to talk football.
I agree.
The only one of Speaking for Yourself is kind of their big 3 panel during the day. The only other one's Undisputed. We haven't heard much about Undisputed talking. I don't know how far they'll dive into that, But rest assured, I bet they'll take their best crack at saying, "Hey guys, here's a league we have. Maybe you want to debate." And I mean, it's 2 or 3 they've knocked out now. Speak for yourself. I was kind of surprised. Like, I didn't think they'd get it today. I mean, we're used to the USFL dropping these announcements like right at the final bell, but this is Colin Cowherd's thing is what I thought was kind of crazy. And, they did it, of course, in accordance with their schedule. 3:00 was the last jersey. They gave an hour buffer. 4:00 rolls around. Boom. We're bringing the ping pong balls out for the draft.
I loved. I always give the NBA a hard time, and I will always say that their draft is rigged until they televise it. But let me ask you this. The USFL, they haven't even played a game, and they can secure the ball system and put it on TV. Why can the NBA not do this? It's so simple. It's so simple. I said it was rigged for years, and I actually just remembered why I stopped saying it was rigged, because the Pistons got the number 1 pick last year.
That's right.
It wasn't rigged that year, but every other year, I'm fairly certain it's rigged. But one thing we can tell you for sure, this isn't rigged. Now, I will say this. If I saw this order without witnessing the balls being picked, I would have said this is rigged. I would have said this is rigged all day and night. I would have looked at this list had they not provided proof, which I got to say has to be nearly impossible to rig random balls being caught and sucked up into a machine. So I'm fairly certain this wasn't rigged. But looking at this list, I would look at it and say, well, that feels like the order they would want. That seems about right.
I think as a league, that's what you kind of the Panthers. I'll just jump into this.
Right.
So they did the lottery. The Panthers got number 1. Okay. And that is, if you are following this league, darn well with the fan base, everyone's starting to roll their eyes going, you've got to be kidding me. The Jeff Fisher's team got the number 1 pick on a random selection lottery system to do that. Good Lord. And then go figure, number 2, the Bandits, who out of all these teams, you could argue maybe the Generals would be the other one, but you can argue the Bandits have just as much of the history pull in terms of fan base. So go figure, the Bandits are up there. So, and we'll just keep, might as well just keep going down the line. I'll tell you what, I'll do the first 4.
Okay, cool.
And I'll give you the last 4.
Yeah.
So numbers 3 and 4. Number 3, the Philadelphia Stars, landing that one. Number 4, New Jersey Generals. So 3 of the 4 Northern Division teams happened to land the tops. The South really got the back end of the deal on this, which, speaking of the South, guess who's number 5?
You guys can probably all tell by my head shaking over here who got number 5. That would be the Houston Gamblers. But I'll tell you this, number 5, there ain't no shame in that game. Number 8, honestly, I would probably rather have number 8 in this pick just because the speculation zone snake draft. I think it has to be a snake draft, but you get that back-to-back pick. So anyway, you have the Gamblers at 5, Stallions 6, Pittsburgh Maulers 7, and then the Breakers at 8, which, in these short drafts, that's kind of nice because you have that back-to-back pick right there to end out the first round, go into the second round, again, assuming it's a snake draft, but, it has to be. It doesn't have to be, but I think it's going to be. All in all, realistically, I don't think having the first or the last pick necessarily matters, especially in the first year of these types of leagues. It really comes down to the coaches and the scouts.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah. How do you? We have had conversations like, and some people are bringing this up more and more. There haven't been official camps or anything. These are just players signing up and saying like, "Hey, if you like me, I got my contract. I'm ready to get drafted." So this is all just evaluation on the fly from either the TSL or what people have seen from other leagues already.
Sure.
And this is gonna be a Wild West come next week.
Sure.
We will not fully know. I think some will be like talents that you see that you can maybe guess, but it's just like the XFL and any other league. You can't, once we hit the field, that's all we'll know.
For sure.
Beyond that, it's all about the paper. And it's even more so in the NFL in that sense. It is definitely paper-looking rosters.
Well, that's what
in terms of that.
Well, that's what I love about these spring leagues, right? Is, again, the creation of those new stars. I mean, almost every time the people that you think are going to be the big star come into the league, and not that they play bad, but there's always someone else that, not that nobody's heard of, but a lot of people haven't heard of. At least the everyday family across the country that watches football doesn't know the name. Then they learn that name. I mean, perfect examples. You had Manziel in the AAF. You had Aaron Murray in the XFL. And I mean, at the end of the day, it was all PJ Walker's business, man. Nobody could stop him. And again, not that nobody knew who he was going into the league, but he was a practice guy squad. He didn't necessarily go to like a huge school. Not that he went to a small school. So I think we're going to see a lot of that here. We still don't know how the draft's going to work, but it sounds like the day that this recording comes out, we're getting news. So Friday, today, the day that this comes out, the USFL's already announced. We're going to drop some details on the draft. So, I mean, the USFL's big week. We're getting everything, and then we're rolling into next week. The draft starts Tuesday, so it's Tuesday and Wednesday. So if I were to guess, tomorrow we'll get details on how many picks they're getting, right? How many, the allocation from the active roster to the practice squad. I think we'll finally officially learn if it's a snake draft. I still don't think we get a stream or a televised, but from what we heard and what we've seen, at least this week, the individual social media teams are pretty much ready to roll. So they're going to be pumping out content. And if you want, USFLnewsroom.com, we're going to have a live tracker. So as they get added, we're going to be adding them over there as well. So if you can't get on social media for whatever reason, like if it's blocked where you work. See, people think I'm shilling my thing, but I'm telling you, there is a reason. Some people can't get on Twitter at work. Well, I guarantee you, their IT department doesn't know about good old USFL Newsroom yet, and it ain't blocked. So come on over, check it out. We'll have the live tracker. But if you can get online, the social media team should have your back. And I assume if you go to theusfl.com, they're going to have something up there as well at foxsports.com.
I would think that they're going to do it. They switched the tracker to the draft. It's not about the game day anymore. Now they want to pump up the draft, which that has to have something. You don't switch that and take the pressure and spotlight off of your opening day unless you were doing something on your website,
right?
Which, I mean, if they're getting people in the site and they're going to be doing this on the fly, odds are you can drop something. They'll do it on social media. It's easy. The website, I imagine, and I know you have a little more experience than I do with this, there's probably an easy way of just dropping in these lists as they go down the line.
Yeah, it's not hard. Well, it's not hard for me. So theusfl.com, if you need any web expertise, you know where to find me. But anyway, God, I sent the XFL that a couple times, and they actually responded, and I talked to them, and I shouldn't say this. They didn't want. There's no way I would have taken that job. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
But anyway, now here's the one thing that I would love to see in this announcement about the draft that I know everybody else would is the player pool. I'm not so sure we get it, but I'm curious. Where do you sit on that side?
I would like to get it. Just out of curiosity. But I'm with you. I don't see any movement on that.
Right.
Like they know their guys. It's again, shock value. Mm-hmm. It's all about, that we've seen people unofficially in terms of the league confirmations. We've seen people post like their contract emails and all that. So we know some people you've been posting up people on, what confirmed guys that have their contracts on USFL Newsroom, but they're not going to do it. This is it's better shock. It's better. Wow. Like, oh my God, let's talk about this thing right now type of content. Mm-hmm. You take away the anticipation. I guess you remove the element of anticipating who's going where by somewhat holding back the draft pool. And there is an argument for showing it so that people can know what the talent of the league has and be more impressed. But I feel like if you're going to be doing social posts and like you're doing like the way they did the jerseys, it's going to come out a lot more exciting that way.
I think so.
So I think that's their reasoning. Like, again, shock value.
Right.
It is like their bread and butter at this point with how they're doing the league. Keep it close to the vest. we control what you get pumped about.
Here's what I think.
It's working.
Here's what I think's more likely. So, yeah, we might get the player pool. I don't think we will. Maybe not for Friday, but maybe for Monday, because the USFL is really making an effort to hit like every day of the week, at least the major days. Maybe we get assigned quarterbacks, and maybe they drop those before the draft. So maybe that comes with, maybe that's the Stefan prediction, the ref's prediction. So if you're listening to this episode later on Friday, they're going to drop some draft news. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong. But it could be, I could see it happening Monday too, because then, boom, Friday. Well, this week we've talked about everything. Friday, you drop some more draft news. Monday, you drop quarterbacks. Wednesday or Tuesday, maybe you drop the first list of picks. Or maybe the quarterbacks come Tuesday and then you give the full picks on Wednesday after the draft. But I could see some order like that more so than seeing a player pool prior to the picks being made.
Yeah, well, you know what? That would be, I think, a compromise, is getting like some of, like, at least the quarterbacks. Like these leagues, and with any football league, I guess, really, if you want to be honest, it's QB play. Mm-hmm. It's what makes or breaks almost every team. You know, or you have a really damn good defense that can carry you to victory.
Right.
You got to have the quarterback. So I think people at the very least want to know what the QB talent is. There's been a few that have floated around. I saw like Chase Litton, it sounds like, might be in this. We haven't heard anything on Luis Perez, but like, or we know Jordan. Wouldn't doubt Jordan Ta'amu. There's been talks. It's been reported that he's being discussed. So people would definitely raise an eyebrow at seeing him in. Some XFL guys I know sound like they'd be sad.
And I think they would change their mind. If Jordan Ta'amu ends up on the Michigan Panthers, they're not this. They're going to be unstoppable, but they're going to be hard to reach on social media. That's all I'll say. Because I'll tell you, every St. Louis Battlehawks fan that's even slightly interested in the USFL, even with the Jeff Fisher thing, some it's going to attract them, some it might deter them, but Jordan Ta'amu will bring them in, and even more so, they will have a chance to be the Battlehawks of the USFL, like we talked about before.
Panthers fit that mold. Yep. The social media is making sense. They're tracking that way to being the quintessential big-time fandom. That is what they are right now.
Right.
So what better way to bring that crowd in if you could? And like I said, it sounds like that they at least talked about it, and it's getting close to, if not already, being a possibility. And not everyone's going to reveal their contracts. That's one thing we're learning. Like, some people are just gung-ho. Others, probably because their agents are advising them to do this, aren't showing and telling.
Yeah.
You know, so we won't get everybody. That's exactly what's happening. You know, and we only get such a sliver. Like Perez, that's a good, reasonable bet. TSL relation from last year with the Jousters. Why not? Guy's still looking at a career.
For sure. And he proved himself in the XFL, and I mean, he took the Jousters to the Mega Bowl. So
he'd be a good fit. He's a good fit for these leagues.
Professional bowler. He's hit, I think, 300 games or something crazy.
Oh my gosh. What if they repurposed
please.
I only am saying this because of the fact that, you know, they showed it off I'm talking about the bowling promo, documentary bit they did. And I'm like, they aired it once, and then it was like, what do we air for half times? Bowling.
Yep. Dude, I was hyped.
It was good.
It was sweet.
And I think we'll see more of the stuff like that. Fox, they love doing this stuff with the NFL. These little mini stories. They're great with this stuff. You're going to see that. I think it's their league, so you expect they better do it
for sure.
You know, better not slack off. Here, listen to this, Fox. So I think that, at least, like QB pool. Why not just QB pool?
Even that, I think people would be ecstatic to see. Right.
Receivers would be kind of insane. Same for running backs. Like, you get to the specialty players, and it's, not to sound cheapening of it, it's a dime a dozen, and so you'll have so many to comb through. Right. But maybe I'm wrong. The diehard people that watch these games love looking at this stuff.
For sure. Well, I'll tell you, one person, unfortunately, if he was still around, Josh Davis would have loved.
Oh, he would have
sift through that list. Like, dude, I'm going to go off on a side tangent here real quick. It is such a shame that he is not here for this right now. I mean, that is one guy that, like, when I know it probably doesn't get talked about a lot because it happened a couple months ago, but I mean, everything that's going on, that all of like a majority of these guys that are in the playing pool, he's probably talked to at one point. He was talking to everybody. He had a talent in finding people, talking to people, and getting those secret hidden nuggets. So that's the one shame about all of this, is that he's not around. I know we brought it up a cool time, so I'm sorry to bring it up
like,
again.
I mean, you talk like players, those that are online that talked, and like, that's the thing. This would have been such a great league that he would have enjoyed in, I think. I know that he had other ones. Like, I mean, he was a big one for the MLFB, because he believed in that product. So I would have loved to have had a conversation with him on that. The times that I had chances to talk with him when we do, because we would every now and then, I love talking to him about player relations and some of the people he knew from that. Great personality in the community that I wish, and you wish the same, was here, because this would be a great time. The draft would be a perfect thing that I think he would love to have covered.
He'd be all over it right now. He'd be all over it right now. And it's an unfortunate that I never had a chance to actually like meet him in real life. Right. And so that's honestly I'm not even trying to promote it. It is one of the reasons I am looking forward to not even just spring stock, going to some of these games. I mean, it's been a couple of years where most everything's been locked down. Right.
Yes.
And I want to enjoy as much of it as I can while I can, because who knows? I mean, who knows? Right. But I mean, sorry to end that's pretty much all we had to talk about. I didn't mean to end it on such a downer there, but what a big week. What a big week.
I know.
mean, this is our biggest show by far. I know we're going to probably clip a couple pieces out, but this is by far our longest episode. I'm glad that you stuck around. If you stuck around, if you didn't stick around, you're not going to hear this, but we'll be dropping clips throughout the week as well, so you can catch up there. Zach, how did you feel about this episode? Fun, good, bad, indifferent?
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
It was good.
This was fun. It has been a fun and exciting, exhilarating last few days. And it's the more and more we wait, it feels more like a reality. Today, as we're recording, it felt like it's legitimately going to happen, and that it's looking like it's going to be big. I mean, that's kind of how I think jersey reveals happen, and people just love them anyway. But like this, it just kind of finally said, "Hey, we're doing all this. This is going on. We are here to start revving our engines and showing that we're going to be doing something that isn't just under the radar anymore, and that people have to be in the know." You're going to know about the USFL by the beginning of July. When this is all said and done, we go in the off season, you'll know we exist. For sure. That's what this came off as today.
Yeah, they definitely not taking the gas off the pedal. Like I said in a couple times throughout the show, what was kind of expected as this might be the XFL's week to put out some publication before the draft, or the USFL draft at least. Nope. They took over every day. They squeezed them out. Now, again, that's not to say that we don't see an XFL release on Friday, because, again, it is a year from when they kick off. But one thing's for sure, they're not going to be the only ones dropping a release on Friday, because we do know that the USFL is dropping news. So,
yes, indeed,
we could see both. I kind of hope we see both. I kind of sounded negative about the XFL, because I'm not. I don't think anybody should be worried that they're not going to be around next year. I think they're absolutely going to hit the field. I know there's frustrations out there, but it just shows for all the people that were worried or angry that we weren't hearing enough from the USFL. I mean, boy, did they set the story straight on that one. You cannot say they did not execute in the first 2 months of the year already.
They said it in their jersey tees. We hear you.
Yep.
They get it. They know what's going on. Wouldn't this just be a blast if you had the XFL the day, like after we're done with this, the next day?
Oh yeah.
And they go, you know what? Any further, we're still going to start just having to second guess when we do this. Just drop what we need.
Just do it.
And then the USFL is going, oh, now it's really on.
Right.
Cat and mouse game to the extreme coming into my season. I see. If anything, the competition's just going to be fun to me. I know I've used fun a lot. I'm trying to change the vocabulary here. It's going to be it's going to be quite the observational. It's going to be very much the observational, like, marketing experiment and jockeying for position. And you gotta, I want it. I actually want it tomorrow because of that.
I'm with you.
Just for them to be like, we're not letting you leave this week without us going out with something to say.
Right.
Well,
and as a marketing guy, I appreciate all that too. I kind of like seeing not necessarily head to head, but hey, here's my thing. Now trying to jock for that position, right? Get around and promote what you need to promote without stepping on each other's toes. And I'll say they have seemed to play pretty clean, fair so far. But this is the first time where we've really seen, again, we don't know that the XFL was even planning to drop any news this week, but I think a lot of people expected it because they're a couple of weeks late on their promise before. And then with that the year of thing coming up, it kind of made sense, but I don't know. We'll see. It could be an interesting one. Either way, I'm looking forward to all the news. I'm looking forward to the XFL news, USFL news, and heck, even the MLFB news. I'll take it all. Right. Sign me up. Like I said, maybe we'll have a fall stock. But I think that's it for the week. So, here's a couple things. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, make sure you subscribe. Click the bell. It builds morale. Once we get to 500, you could win 2 tickets, a T-shirt, or a hat from the brand new USFL shop. So they have all sorts of new goodies there. We're less than 100 away from that. So sign you guys up. Also, one thing as well, we want to mention our sponsor, Royal Retros. You can get 10% off of all of your purchases if you go to royalretros.com. Use the code USFL Podcast. You can follow us as well at The Ref Says and Grid Gallery Pod, as well as at Zach Kyleman over on Twitter. We're having a lot of fun there. But make sure you're following at USFL Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the good places. Like we said, Zach's going to be taking care of that Instagram, so it should start getting active here. But we're definitely good over on Twitter, so you should be following us. Almost at 1,000 subscribers there, so sign us up.
Get in there.
Sign you guys up. And as always, check into spring stock, check into summer stock. We'll be rolling out more details. So if you check out usflcast.com, we'll be dropping them there. And as well, we haven't done it in a couple weeks, but just a reminder, we have a mailbag. You could drop a voicemail. You can leave us an email. You can drop a comment in the video. Leave us a question. I think we'll probably have a little bit of time next week to talk about the mailbag after we go through the draft, because we're going to be talking about that bad boy.
Ooh. Imagine if we open the mailbag this week.
I know.
What you think? Oh my goodness.
It's going to be a big old bag.
We'll get back to it, but dang, it would have been something today. Good Lord.
Good times. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. Zach, I hope you have a good night. Everybody else, sign you up, and thanks for joining, and tune in every week, Fridays, 9 a.m. Eastern.